Welcome into the Bike Meet podcast. You guys always appreciate you joining us. We're going on about 14 months now, never missed a weekend. We ain't about to start right now. Always brought to you by Texas Star Grill Shop, where obviously Rick Martin and the whole gang over there get it done. Family operation. Keep that in mind as we get into today's podcast. Before we do that, I want to mention, of course, to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. We have thousands of listeners across the country, and especially in the great state of Texas, but really all over. You can get it wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify. Podbean is where we host it, and we always recommend that you subscribe there because you can get every single episode that we've ever done. And I'm excited about this one. And the reason I'm most excited is because I feel like I have a relationship with Prasek's Meat Market. I've had a relationship for several years, decades, if you will. But we're going to get into the story of Prasek's Meat Market, but also what they do, because it's hard to get to the top. It's hard to stay at the top. And then some of the, I guess, almost literally how the sausage is made. We'll do that with a couple of great guys here from Prasek. So I do want to a shout out to Lana from Prasek, who helped organize this for me. But the meat market aspect of this industry, we talk about barbecue every week. We talk to some of the great chefs, as you guys know, and pit masters all over the place, from all over the country. Some great industry leaders, from Badia Spices to obviously the Big Green Egg and Traeger and Pits and Spits and all that. And I got a hunch you might see some of these in Prasek here and there. But let's welcome in Dwayne Koronek. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think I am. And Sam Stoner joining us from Prasek. And I was telling you guys before the show, and Dwayne, I'm going to start with you because you've got a gray goatee just like I do. So I'm thinking you might be more qualified for this one. But I said I feel like I have a relationship with Prasek's Meat Market. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of what you guys do and why it's been so successful. But the story to me is just an absolute. It's a gem. Mike, Betty Joe Prasek created this small town grocery store, and lo and behold, look at us now. I can take you into the store right now in my mind's eye. I go in. There's usually somebody selling some raffle tickets out there out front. There's a couple of fire pits. I turn to the right. My wife stops to get the clothes. I go get some cheese and such. Stop at the bathroom. Go to the back. Get some iced tea. Come back. Get my Colby Jack and dried sausage. And then, of course, you can't leave without some kolaches, but which is actually part of this story as well. But the story, Dwayne, how it started. I'm sure you're well versed in it. You are in the family by marriage. Just kind of give us the background, because a lot of people are interested in this.
So we've been in business now for 50 years. It'll be actually 51 this coming October. And Mike and Betty Joe were native to here in the Hill G. El Campo area. And they had, after they had gotten married, they moved off to Houston and did the Houston gig for a while. Mike worked for Coca-Cola and Betty Joe for Stauffer Chemical. And when it came time for raising kids, they just felt like the city was not for them, right? And Mike Jr. and Michelle were both born in Houston, and they just wanted to come back to a small town. And so that's what brought them back to El Campo. And Betty Joe's parents, or Betty Joe's family, I should say, was here in this little small town of Hilgi. So they worked, Mike worked at Rice Belt, and Betty Joe raised kids. And that was the opportunity to purchase a small town grocery called Hilgi Grocery, which is about a mile, I guess, from the current location now. Mike's family was in the grocery business. His parents owned a grocery store in El Campo, and so it's kind of a perfect fit. When the grocery store came up for sale, they jumped on it. Now it was a little small town grocery. Had a pool table, had a beer joint, had a meat market, had kerosene for sale out front. You could buy a feed there. So that's what a small town grocery stores were. So that's where it all got started, in that little building called Hilgi Grocery. From there,
go ahead.
From there, they moved out with the highway in the late '80s. The highway came around the town and came around the store, and of course, it kind of killed the business. They were very fortunate to have the opportunity to purchase the corner where the store sits right now from Betty Joe's parents, who owned this particular piece of property. And the first store that they built here was about the size of the dining area that you see when you walk in the store. So That's the first 8 years of Prosek's Family Smokehouse.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to. This was me dropping the ball. I do want to get your guys' titles and what you're, what you do on a day-to-day basis there. Sam, I know you're in the family as well. What is your title? What are you doing on a daily basis there, and why we're talking to you, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So my job is more focused on the production aspects of the plant. I work hand in hand with all the production facilities, so where you see the sausage and jerky and dried meats, etc. A lot of my responsibility falls on the labeling coordination and product development. So any new products we're working on here, I've got my hands dipped into that. And then also when we get into the time of year where we actually enjoy the weather, winter, we're deer processing here in Hill G and Sealy as well. So I would say I'm more on the production side from my standpoint.
And you, Dwayne?
We don't really have official titles here, right?
Right.
But, if you want the official title, I guess the general manager of retail operations is the way you put it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Kind of a cleanup guy, whatever else has to happen for the administration and whatnot.
You're the guy they blame.
Yeah, I'm right. I do IT work, which is a total disaster when I'm getting my hands involved in that, but somebody's got to do it. So anyways.
Yeah. And so this is the fascinating thing to me. A lot of times, and you guys are a big company, a store in Sealy, obviously, and a store there. But the family has never left. I mean, I'm digging in, obviously, prepping to chat with you guys. And plus, I just am, as I mentioned, very interested in the organization and the company. And I actually have my OG sauce in the Sealy store. You guys carry my OG sauce, so that's kind of cool. And I'm everywhere I see, well, this is the son-in-law. This is the other son-in-law. This is the son-in-law's son, which is you two guys. This is the daughter. This is Betty Jo's second cousin removed by marriage. And at first I'm like, holy smokes, this is crazy. But I think it matters, doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it matter that the family is just entrenched in this business?
So, our name, we rebranded here a few years ago. And our name now is Prasek's Family Smokehouse. So family is our middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, everything that we do, we try to keep it very family centric because whether it be the operations of the business, the operations up at the cash register, or the folks running the production plant or making the kolaches, we consider everybody family. And when you start seeing that from that aspect, the customers that walk through the door, they come into our home, and we invite family into our home. So family means a lot to us, and it means a lot in a lot of different ways, from the staff, the employee staff, to the customer base.
And Sam, it translates. When I walk in, you can feel it. And I also want you to speak on this, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but as of a few years ago, to the point where Mike's still very much involved, correct?
Yeah. I saw Mike go. Yeah, I saw Mike just a few minutes ago.
How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. He's still involved with family meetings and all that. A lot of the responsibility, for sure, has been handed down to the immediate family when we talk about the different divisions of the store. But absolutely, he's absolutely involved up here. He's always behind the counter. It's actually pretty notable that every day he's here for breakfast. And the stories that we hear of people walking up, being able to shake his hand, and it's hard to ever see that at a company that they have started as a family origin. And also to kind of touch base on that, when we talk about the items that we produce here, a lot of those items are majority of the items are the same recipe that Prasek started with back in 1974 as well, from the kolaches, Betty Jo's recipe, even to the sausage and jerky items, which Big Mike created for the local community at that time. So it's very nice to see that family trait passing along to not only the expression of people, but also to the products that we provide for the public as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree, Dwayne, because he mentioned Sam mentioned the kolaches, and I know this was originally. I mean, Betty Jo made them originally in 1974, correct? And that's something that you guys sort of embrace.
She made them in the trailer house of her in the oven of her trailer house. Mike tells a story that she burned up 3 ovens in that trailer house.
Hey, well, here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
And as far as Sam, you talk about the production and you walk into a Prasek, and I want to get into that a little bit for our listeners' purposes. They love the story, I'm sure, but we are a barbecue podcast, pit masters, things in the industry. When you talk about production, what kind of, and you don't have to give away any secrets here, but what kind of production are we talking? Because that is a very, very big counter that I walk by every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's ever a growing market. So an answer I give today could be totally different in a week. It varies a lot. Consistently, I would say that we're pushing in excess. We're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, whether we're talking about jerky or dried products or even our sausage production. And it's all really cool because kind of going back to that family basis, in 1974, it all started with a 10 by 10 smokehouse and a hand crank stuffer, which actually, if you walk into the Hilgi location, right to the right side of the main entrance is that original stuffer that was used to make sausage. But
oh, wow.
The production scale it's changing every day in that front.
And you still smoking everything on site?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah, we have our main smokehouse line. It's keeping tradition with modern technology, I guess you'd say, in our updated production.
Mm-hmm.
We use a true hickory blend, no artificial smoke flavor added into our products. Still keeping that same traditional root as if you were making sausage at home for your family.
Right. And, when you talk, for our listeners' purposes, when they go in there, it's not just the smoked sausages and whether it's venison or pork or whatever, but the meats are there. And that's something that we've hit a lot. We've had people on here from, some of the great producers, beef producers in the country. Dwayne, obviously you're retail and general manager. You have a certain standard that I'm sure you have to adhere to just in your own mind's eye, in your own heart. How much more difficult has that gotten with the sort of so many people trying to emulate what you do? Obviously, boutique meat markets popping up everywhere to keep that quality.
Well, as far as keeping the quality, we rely on the production team. Every now and then we make a joke, us retail guys have to get on their case and say, hey, this is not maybe up to what we think is standards, and very seldom that ever happens, but occasionally, we try to keep each other in check.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as I think what you're kind of alluding to is the other folks out there, the thing that's really unique about Prasek is, as far from the smoked meat standpoint, is I think we're one of the very few that do all this in-house, that smoke all the products in-house. And so, what's sold at Prasek is made at Prasek.
Mm-hmm.
There's very, very, very few, if any, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
We do carry a few lines of other products that are not that would be considered in the same category,
mm-hmm.
but it's not many that we don't make here.
Sam, you were talking about you love hearing the stories from Mike. I'm guessing this has come up at some point. Did he ever in his wildest dreams think that it would become the phenomenon that it is? Because it is a phenomenon. I wasn't kidding about, the line of people that comes through there, especially on the weekends. But did you ever imagine it would get to this?
I was actually just talking to him before this interview, and I was kind of catching up on some old stories. And that was the main thing he brought up. He said, never would I have imagined that we would be broadcasting our product so far.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost in every state except for possibly the Northeast area.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually even getting our own products into Mexico shortly. Our span has grown phenomenally, and he stated that at the origin of this, it was to create a sausage product for the local community for his initial store. It wasn't something that was meant to expand. It was supposed to be something of good quality that everybody in the community likes, especially for this area of the state. There's a lot of people who love to make their own sausage and try to make it as wholesome as possible. And so it's amazing to me to see such a liking for this product, because a lot of the products you see on the market today, you don't know what you're getting or where it's coming from and all that. But when people see that Prasek brand, if they know Prasek, they know exactly where it's coming from and the quality standard that we have set behind it.
How about from your perspective, Dwayne? Because not just what Sam was talking about, but you want to walk into a store like Prasek says and know that it's not just translating from the meat and the sausage, but the store has to reflect that. And you walk in, and there's always, the racks are always full, and it's always clean, and there's people, whether it's the fountain drink area or the tables, hitting that quality. You know what I mean?
Right. I've always said we have got to hand it to our staff. We've got some of the greatest management team. We've got some of the greatest staff that you could ever ask, and I think it all goes back to that point about everybody treating everyone as family, and really trying to keep that atmosphere alive in the store. And back to Mike and Betty Joe, that's how they have done it for 50 years, and it's just trickled down, kind of the trickle down effect. Mm-hmm. And I've always said it's every department in the store is like the tree. You've always heard of the forest and trees. Well, it takes all the trees to make the forest. Mm-hmm. It takes the bakery to boost, if you will, the fresh meats, the smoked meats, the grill, the fountain drink bar, mm-hmm. the gift shop, the convenience store. Without, if you take any one component out, it just wouldn't be Prasek's.
Right.
So, it takes the forest to make the trees to make the forest here.
And again, not asking for any secrets or behind the scenes plans, but you guys are in an environment, in a category, as people like to say, where you're getting a lot of Prasek's type stores on roadsides, on highways, etc. It's competitive, man. I mean, it is very, very competitive. There are people that build their lives around whether it's a beaver or a Texan or something else, right. And they build around their lives around that. Have you thought about how big is too big? And maybe there's some more down the road.
Well, never say never, and I guess probably the better way to put it is not if but when. Mm-hmm. We had some plans to do some expansion, but we have to consider our retail in conjunction with our wholesale because we do both. So when you're making products now, shipping them out to Mexico, we ship products to Europe. So
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We're expanding or broadening our horizons quite a lot in that production. So you want to keep a good balance. Mm-hmm. And probably the strategical approach maybe has been a little bit derailed. The economy in
sure
2020 changed a little bit, and we're kind of, as things are coming along, plans might change, but again, I think that the answer to your question is not if, but when. Mm-hmm. And, probably sooner than later. So
yeah, well, just let me know. I'm just glad I have my place in Aransas Pass because I can stop there all the time. One of the other interesting facets here for me that you guys do, and it's very difficult to stand out. And by the way, you do this, Sam, that some of the other big roadside stops, for lack of a better way to put it, do not do. And that is deer processing. We have a lot of outdoorsmen that listen to this show, and I'm sure you have a lot of loyal customers. Take us through that, what you guys do in a typical deer season.
Yeah, absolutely. Deer processing is my favorite part of the job, I have to say, because of the interaction we have with all the customers. When we talk, our season really picks up in October. It really kind of starts to slow down in February. But from November to December, that's all we live for is deer processing. Mm-hmm. In deer processing, just this past year alone, we're talking thousands of orders a season, hundreds of thousands of pounds of product produced, whether that's hamburger, smoked sausage, jerky. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about deer processing here at Prasek's is, it's not batched. So whatever you bring in is what you're going to get. And that's something that, again, we talk about that quality and that family standard. That's what we would expect. Mm-hmm. That's one thing we pride ourselves in here, but also at that front, it's also fully customizable. So, for example, we have our sausage recipes are the same as what you get in a pork and beef link from the smoked meats counter. But for example, if you wanted to add a celery cure instead of a pink cure, just for the replacement of or have a natural curing element, we're able to make those changes on the fly and satisfy those needs for every customer. So I would say that's, for deer processing perspective, that's what sets us apart at the end of the day. Being able to work on the fly and customize and satisfy those customers as if they were family to us as well.
You mentioned something that I don't think a lot of, or maybe they do, but I don't think a lot of people know. You said it's not batched. People do that, correct? And you guys, if I bring in whatever it is, or if I bring in a deer, I'm going to get back that deer.
Exactly. And it does happen. It's not required to be disclaimed by processors, but I always tell people whenever they question it, I always ask them, would you like to take a step into the room? We work with, because, some people will have their doubts, some people will say, well, you don't have to tell me that. So why would you? But our door for our processing room is right next to where you check in for both Sealy and Hilgi. So anytime we have a customer that may be just curious on how we are able to not batch, how our process looks when we take in those orders, I always encourage them, hey, you want to put a coat on and step in the room with me? I'll show you our process from our side and show you how we keep everything separate, even from all the way from raw deer intake to packaged product on the shelf.
And I can vouch for that because last time I delivered some OG sauce to the Sealy location, I noticed a sign outside the door that said, please don't leave deer heads on the floor. I mean, by the door. And I'm like, does that happen? So people just like, okay, they're done. They just leave that stuff out there.
You'd be surprised.
I didn't want to trip over a deer head or a carcass or anything, but so that was pretty funny. So Dwayne, when we're talking about the recipes and things changing and the loyalty, how much has it not changed in terms of over the last 50 years? I'm sure there's been some tweaks. I mean, everybody does it, but if you're it's kind of a touchstone to what Betty Jo and Mike started. Is it still pretty much that?
It pretty much is. We have had to honestly tweak some things to match or to meet USDA standards. Not that what we were doing was not
right. Just whatever they said.
Standard than Texas inspection did, and I think Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we went in USDA somewhere around 2014. And so some of the standards had to change just a little bit to match what they do. And does it affect the quality of product? Well, not necessarily in a bad way, but it does change it just a tick.
Right.
We try to keep everything though just as homegrown, if you will, as possible.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Kind of to jump on that point too. When we talk about the federal inspection, state inspection, when they started this, it was just out of a smokehouse, and there was not much regulation provided by the government. It's actually, it would be 2013 that we became federally inspected. But when we started that federal inspection, the amount of quality checks and things we're able to keep ourselves protected by are the reasons why we needed some of those. I would say the very few changes that we actually had to make from the original deviated recipe that Big Mike created before. So it allows us to have a better quality standard and a more consistent product, I would say, while still handling those tried and true recipes created for us in 1974.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of the next thing I was going to ask you. And I'll start with you, Sam. There are a lot of people like me, if I'm not on the air or on my radio show, I am either fishing or I'm cooking. And those are my two podcasts, including this one. But it's funny how that worked out. But how much have you sort of been light on your feet in terms of, making sure that it's not just deer processing, but it's, equipment, products, grills, fire pits, things that guys that are going hunting need in terms of keeping it on the shelf and kind of having your ear to the ground of what the outdoorsmen need, not just to process after the hunt, but on the way to the hunt or the fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different indications that we'll rely on for those types of advances. I know, for your example, you mentioned Lana earlier. She does a really good job at surveying those customers and what those desires are. And that's kind of where I work in with the custom process or custom product development side. We hear a lot of what customers are looking for, what they're wanting, and we also pay attention to the changing market as well. And a lot of our store reputation is based off of, well, it's keeping those tried and true recipes, but how do we create something new for them as well? Something else that they may want to try whenever they're going on those road trips as well. So when it comes to that standard of trying to basically keep your head in the market and seeing what it is, a lot of the times it's talking to those customers. A lot of the times, I'll say that I'll be lying if I didn't say this. A lot of the times we'll have customers come in and recommend, hey, can you make this with, for example, let's say like a coriander or mustard seed, or can you try making it with this blend? A lot of the times we see like, hey, that's actually not a bad blend to try. And granted, we have some variations with that with customers where they have a really specific recipe that some people may not be on board with, but a lot of the times it's through that direct contact with those people, or with our customers, to know what it is we're looking for when we're developing those new products and even developing those new quality standards. And another big thing to note too is kind of that health standard that we're regulating as well. There's a lot of claims in the market for health and nutrition and things of that nature. And that's one of the things we always work on is, hey, look, we always had the basic simple recipes. We're keeping out artificial colors and things of that nature.
Right.
How do we expand that market a little bit more and make something for that market as well? So just a couple different examples of how we're putting our ears to the ground on that front.
No, that's good. And it leads it dovetails directly to what I want to ask you about, Dwayne. The industry outside of the production of the sausage and all that is in flux. I mentioned light on your feet. I'm guessing you have to be real light on your feet. We know about tariffs and how it's affecting certain pit makers or fire pit makers or whatever it may be. How has that changed? What can people look forward to in terms of how Prasek is dealing with that?
It's become more of a challenge with price. We try to keep our the value in all products. One of the things that we really strive for is quality made products, whether it be barbecue pits or whatever you're speaking of there. If it's the difference between a 3/8 thick iron pit versus a 1/8, we're going to go with the 3/8. And of course, it does cost just a little bit more money, but it's much better quality product. And that's the same thing. Our sausage, if you look at the label, it's meat. There's not a ton of water. So it also, across the board, it's the same thing. It's top quality product. But our poppy seed kolaches, the poppy seed is hand ground. We don't buy a canned poppy seed. The way that they made it, or still the Czech German heritage made the poppy seed, is still the way that we make it today. And that's take fresh poppy seed, grind it, and make your own mix, your own inserts. So back to the products, sourcing products. It's a challenge, but we do it every day. So it's just a day's work, right?
Right.
Always trying to find something of top-notch quality.
Is there, and I was talking with Rick Martin actually from Texas Star Grill Shop about this, because he was talking about a lot of the pits that he sells, or a lot of the prices are going up, but he kind of was in the line in the line of thought of, ultimately it is going to work because people who go in looking for quality are going to be able to still pay for that quality. And I'm talking more what you're talking about, Dwayne, with whether it's a pit or whatever. Are you seeing maybe some hints of that, where not just American made, but even some that are not, people will pay for that quality?
Definitely. I mean, that's the hard yes. People will pay for a better product.
Yeah. Last thing here before I let you guys go, because I could go on forever with some of the things in this industry, and I want to talk about. I've stopped in there for deer corn, on occasion. I'm more of a fisherman than a hunter, but I'll go out and just feed the deer and on the property or whatever, or and all that. This is a big, at least in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong. This is a big part of the market that you guys seem to be really focusing on. Is that true?
The deer corn itself, or I'm not exactly
sure. Yeah, the deer corn market for hunters and such. I mean, you guys seem to be really focusing on that and have it a lot of it, I should say.
yeah. Actually, we ran out of deer corn in Sealy the other day, and the manufacturers that we're buying from right now, I don't know if they got behind or whatever, but we were trucking over our stash here in Ocampo over to Sealy. I took a pallet load of corn, but yeah, that is it's a good attractor. There's a lot of not only does it attract deer, but it attracts customers into the store.
Yeah. And really, the other thing is, the fishing equipment seems to be something that you guys, again, maybe that's just ear to the ground stuff, but I'm saying a lot more higher quality stuff. And because I go there all the time, as over the course of time. Is that true?
That's very true. Yeah, we have a line of the Waterloo rods. Not a big line, but the folks that come through and looking for a good fishing rod, we have it.
Yeah, you got it. Sam, last thing for you though, with the processing, give us some numbers if you can. If you don't want to, I get it. But like, do people fully understand how much you guys process and how much you guys produce in sausage in a given week, let's say, given month?
Yeah, and whenever we do that tracking, we do it by the week. It's maybe hard for me to give specifics just because the variance is high. It could be POs for grocery one week and then stock retail the next week. It just kind of depends. The best estimate I can give is we're talking a couple, we'd say in excess of 120,000 pounds a week on average.
Oh, is that all?
For the sausage plant and jerky plant, you're talking about the excess of 20,000 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I do my part. I do my part. That's for darn sure. I will actually not see you guys this Friday. I've gone down there 3 weeks in a row, and I got a birthday party to do. But next Friday, I'll come by and say hello to you guys. This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people are interested. You guys, have done a fantastic job keeping it family and yet being big enough to do. Any parting thoughts that you want to make sure our listeners know about what you guys are doing?
Well, we want to say thank you to yourself for being a patron for years, and thanks to everybody who has kept the door swinging here or sliding at Prasek. We really appreciate all the patrons, the customers, and if there's ever anything that we can do for anybody, one of our core values is we are yes people, and we will bend over backwards to get it done for you. So,
well, I appreciate it, and you guys, we'll see you again Friday after this. I'll pop through there like I always do. Good luck to you guys. Keep us informed. You have my information. If there's anything else that you guys need to want to talk about, whether it's another store or another product or whatever it is, we sure appreciate you guys.
All right. Same here.
All right. This has been the Bite. Yeah, thank you. This has been the Bite Meat Podcast, again, brought to you by Texas Star Grill Shop every week. You guys have a great week. I think we all learned something today. Great week, great weekend. Smoke it up, and we will talk to you next time.
All right.